Are you tired of using boring old canvases for your acrylic pours? Try acrylic. So, I've got these acrylic sheets. Got them from Dollar Tree. They had like 8 of them there, and I figured I better just buy them all while I'm there, because they have a tendency to get things in once and then run out of them. So I figured I better buy them all just in case. At first I wasn't really sure what I was going to do with these, though I knew there was bound to be some sort of good purpose to use these for crafting. Initially I was thinking resin, using them with resin somehow. But then the obvious kind of crept into my mind. Why not do an acrylic pour on it? It's acrylic, so it's acrylic plastic. So it's got this film on both sides to kind of protect it. Now when you take the film off, it is perfectly transparent. It's not cloudy like this. But for this I want to... I may keep this film on, or I may put a sticky vinyl backing on this. Because what I want to do is, not only do I want to do an acrylic pour on this, but I want it to be kind of translucent. That way, you've got your nice acrylic pour design there. And maybe I can put it in a window or something and let light shine through. I feel like that would be pretty cool. Or I could even paint the pattern on it and use heat to maybe bend it into like some kind of lamp covering. Put like a little light bulb in there, make like a box. Though this might not be quite big enough to, I guess I can make a small box out of it. But the idea being, you paint the whole surface and then maybe bend it into some sort of lampshade type thing. I may or may not do that. I'm not going to do that in the video. I'm just going to do an acrylic pour on here. I've never really tried this. Don't know how well it's going to adhere to the acrylic. You would think because I'm using acrylic paint, it would adhere well to the acrylic, but I don't know. It's a really smooth surface, not porous at all. So what that does mean is I don't think I should have to prime this in any way before painting on it. I think I can just paint right on there. If this does work, I suppose it could just be used as a regular substitute for a canvas. In that, I could paint the back or the front or both sides with like a base color and then acrylic pour over that. But for this, what I really want to do is I want to leave it transparent. So again, that way light can shine through. And if I get some of those little spots where the paint's really thin in an area, or it kind of bubbles and the paint kind of shrinks away from there, and it's still transparent, that'll probably look pretty cool too, still. So, yeah, I really want to try this out. So I'm going to go ahead and get some colors mixed up, and then I'm just going to go ahead and do an acrylic pour. Probably just a basic dirty pour or a flip cup or something like that. I'm not really going to try and swipe or do anything fancy with this. I just want to see if this works. So let's get started. Alright, I got my colors all mixed up here, and I got a couple of drops of silicone oil in each color. So, and as you can see, I went ahead and just used painter's tape on the back of this. Now, of course, that's going to make this blue here kind of hard to see, but we'll be able to see it when it's all dry and I peel the tape off the back here. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to do a flip cup. So first I'm going to pour a little black in. And some of this kind of seafoam green color here. And some of this blue. And we'll do our gold now. Made that gold a little thin. Hopefully that turns out all right. And this kind of foresty green next. Oops. Now I'm just going to go right back through the same colors here. And hopefully this turns out good. Again, I'm not sure how well it's going to adhere to the acrylic. The acrylic's really smooth and not porous at all, so hopefully the paint will be able to grab onto the acrylic panel and hold the paint. So now we'll go ahead and flip it. Make sure that's about centered. I'm going to give it a minute here, or a few seconds I should say, and I'm going to slowly pull that off there. Those colors go really well together. Now I'm going to tilt it. Yeah, and that gold, I made that a little thinner than I was wanting to, but you know, it should be alright. And the other ones, actually it looks like the other ones I made maybe a little too thick, but it's not the end of the world. I would have thought this would flow a little better on here. I'm actually going to go ahead and take a bit of a risk here and just dirty pour kind of in this area here. Randomize the colors a little. I am far from an expert on acrylic pouring. I've made some pretty good looking stuff, but I've also made some pretty horrendous looking stuff. It's not my primary craft, but it is kind of fun. It's fun to see what colors go together, and it's fun to do. I like putting the silicone oil in and getting all kinds of cells and stuff. I'm just gonna pour that on there. And it can all drip off. So I'm just going to let that flow into the other one here. Slide all around. Now, I'm not entirely against having some negative space on this. That might look pretty cool. Having some areas like this where it's still transparent. That might be alright. I'm not totally against that. As long as I get my blob looking a decent shape anyway. I do want to cover this area a little more. I'm gonna do this here, so maybe that'll flow in there a little better. I do believe I made most of these paints too thick. I probably should have kept them about the consistency that I had the gold paint at. And by just putting some random splotches of paint on these empty areas, you get a little bit better flow. You can flow a little better. I'm just going to dab some of this extra paint on these empty spots and hope we can get the rest of it to flow in there nicely. And I do like, and I kind of want there to be some of this stuff here, like this pitting, random pitting areas. So again, you know, you'll have some little random splotches of just transparent. I think that might look pretty cool, actually. So I'm going to get this corner here a little better. And the silicone oil, I believe, is what's kind of doing that. It is kind of hard to tell. I'm sure it's very hard to tell on camera where the blue paint begins and the clear part ends, because, you know, the blue painter's tape on there. But anyway, I think that's decent. That looks decent. Now, in order to help activate cells, I'm going to want to hit this with a heat gun. However, because the acrylic will kind of warp and, you know, kind of bend if I apply too much heat to it, I'm going to be really careful with how much heat I put on this. Because even though I want to activate these cells, I don't want to warp the canvas. And it don't really look like it's doing much for the cells anyway. I'm going to give this a couple days to dry before I peel the backing off and show the final product and talk about what I've learned here. So until then, just going to let this dry. Alright, it's all dried, or at least dry enough to handle. So it looks really cool. I really like that. And I really like how, as you can see where it pulled away, I do believe, considering that a lot of it's on the edges here, I think a lot of that had to do with the oils in my hands. That residue probably got on the acrylic and kind of made it hydrophobic, I guess you could say, and left those spots there. But I really was hoping I would get some of that effect, and boy did I ever get that effect. I really like that. Now the tape is still on the back. Honestly, it looks really cool even as is. I could very well, I mean, technically I could just leave the tape on there, but I think that kind of looks ghetto, at least on the back. So I am going to take the tape off here in a second, but it just goes to show I could paint the back of this blue or maybe black or some other color, and it would look really cool. But let's take the tape off, because I want to see how well it looks just being transparent on the back. Alright, got the tape off now. And again, still looks pretty cool. Looks pretty cool. The back even looks kind of cool. You know, it's hard to say. I could leave this transparent on the back and maybe put it in a window. Though I'm thinking I will maybe go ahead and actually paint the back, or maybe even put some kind of paper, craft paper or something on the back, so it kind of shows through on these little splotchy empty areas. But all in all, I really think this is these acrylic sheets are really good for this kind of thing. Again, if you don't want splotches, I guess I would recommend first of all wearing gloves when you're handling the acrylic before you paint it, and then probably for good measure spray it with some alcohol and wipe it down good to get any kind of excess oils off there, because this does seem to be a lot more prone to the effects of the oils on your skin, much more than a canvas or paper or something porous would be, because there's really no way for it doesn't really absorb the oils. They just kind of stay on the acrylic. And though, like I said, that was a happy accident in this case. It gave me really exactly the effect I was hoping for. I really wanted those little empty spots there, that negative space. Again, I do think I'm going to go ahead and just put some kind of color on the back, or again, maybe craft paper with some kind of simple design or something. I think that'll look really cool. Then I'll probably coat the whole thing in resin. Either way, I am going to seal it with something, just because I don't want this to start peeling off over time. And before I put resin on it or seal it, it will be a good idea that once it's completely dry, to go over it with a baby wipe or something to get those oils off there. Also, the silicone oil that I put in there. When you resin an acrylic pour, especially if you've used silicone oil, it's a good idea to, before you put resin on it, to go ahead and wipe it with a baby wipe or something. Because then otherwise the resin will do the same thing, and then you'll have pitting there, which could look cool, but no. I'm not going to do that for this. I'm going to wipe it good and clean and get a nice uniform layer of resin or something on there. And again, probably put some kind of a background on there. Again, all in all, the acrylic sheet worked pretty good. A little different than using a canvas. There's some things that made it a little more challenging and some things that made it kind of easier. I've got 7 more of these left, so I'll probably fill them all with some nice acrylic pours. Anyway, that's the video. Hope you enjoyed, and see you next time.